All right, the NFL Draft 2025 is in the books. We are back from Green Bay and back here on Overreaction Monday. We welcome you to this post-NFL Draft edition, whether you're watching it on our Rich Eisen Show YouTube channel or listening to it wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Rich Eisen. Good to see you, Christopher Brockman.
Hey, Rich.
How are you, Chris?
Congratulations on another exceptional draft. How was it for you?
Awesome. It was great.
Looked great. Cold?
We were.
I know you went mock turtleneck on Friday.
Not mock. I went full.
Full.
I wasn't mocking anything. Excuse
me.
I don't know if you're aware. The draft was real. It wasn't a mock draft.
That's true.
It was the real draft.
So you went real turtleneck.
I went real turtleneck.
Okay, great.
I mean,
sorry for doubting.
I should have gone. If I was going to go mock turtleneck, I would have gone mock turtleneck all from January up until the draft.
That's true.
Please.
Well done.
It's the real thing. I don't know. I just decided before I left, we were told by our crack producing staff that the draft set would be plexiglass encased.
Okay.
But I didn't know if it would be somehow, some way brutally cold outside.
Right.
All those pieces of plexiglass don't fit right
perfectly.
There are holes in the system.
Sure.
And so I just didn't know if it would be particularly cold on Friday night. So I decided, you know what, I'll take this thing.
It was a good
and
look.
then I woke up that day, I woke up feeling dangerous.
Yeah, of course.
You know? And so
it was a good look.
I went, thank you. I got a lot of compliments on that.
Yeah, it was nice.
People are like, Stone Street, a whole bunch, everybody was sending me texts about it.
They're like,
And I responded, I'm out of options.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm at the point of my career, I'm out of options.
Hey, just still adding things to the holster. You know what I mean?
Hey, listen.
Hey, you never know.
More you can do. That's how you get drafted.
That is how you get drafted.
Well,
or sometimes maybe slide.
Oh, my God. All right. You ready?
I'm
ready.
I'm ready.
Hit it.
That was terrible.
That was crap. That was garbage. This place sucks.
Overreaction
Monday.
All right, Christopher, let's go.
Let's do it. As expected, Cam Ward went number one. We've known that for months, and I'm really happy for the kid, and I'm really excited. Warren Moon came out and said he could wear number one. I think that's really, really cool. Mm-hmm. But I want to start by talking about the other first-round quarterback. Rich, the Giants, they should just go ahead and start Jaxson Dart day one.
That's not happening. No way. That's a total overreaction. I don't even care what happens in training camp. And I understand the SEC and the Big Ten dominated the draft, and thus the SEC in an argument as close to the NFL as any level of football. No, thank you. Not even Eli, as you recall, started from Ole Miss right for the Giants. Not necessary. You've got two veterans in there and Tommy Cutlets. They and the Browns were the ones who emerged from this draft with four quarterbacks in their quarterback room. If you recall, Seattle got rid of a fourth one in the middle of the draft when the Vikings took Sam Howell. No way.
Here's my pushback.
Not needed. Unnecessary.
But here's the thing. And here's my pushback. The Giants have absolutely zero commitment to Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston, right? They're not in this for the long game with either of those guys.
Just before you continue, Jameis has a 2-year and Russ has a 1-year, correct?
Right, which they can get out of with Jameis's deal right away. But here's the thing: is I can't imagine all four of these guys will be on the roster, come week one. Also, the GM and the head coach are really doing it for their jobs this year. And if they take this guy in the first round, a trade up situation, why not just go right away and see what you got? Did you make the right move? And just go for it, because what else do you have to lose? Because the last 10 years has been an absolute dumpster fire.
Well, we talked about it on Friday's show when Brian Daboll said on the Thursday night post-draft press conference that Jaxson Dart is going to sit and Russ is the starter. Flat out named Russ the starter.
On April 25th,
It wasn't even a pole position in training camp, which is all that the Steelers would allow, when 1 year ago at this time it was Russ's gig. So there's that. Number two, if you suppose that the Giants coach and general manager are on the supposed hot seat, okay?
Yeah, no doubt.
Right. Wouldn't you think the better way to go about maintaining your status and not getting fired would be to keep this kid sat and go, we drafted him. We've got a plan for him. We're following our plan. You should keep us around to finish this plan and try and get through the season with a combination of Russ and Jameis and say, we are going to hold. Now, in New York City, that hold is similar to Braveheart.
The mic stand.
Right? No, similar to Braveheart, right? Which is like, hold.
Right, of course. I get it.
And everyone's going to be rampaging and screaming and can't get any worse and can't hurt to just go to this kid. And Daboll saying, not ready, not ready, not ready, as they're 2-6, 3-7, that will be a tough moment. And that will be the one where it could be read into by the media and the fan base as a sign of their incompetence and unreadiness. 10 weeks into a season, 6 months into being together, that he's not ready. So it's really on you, and it can be hung on their shoulders that this is not working out or not ready to start to see if it can work out. I understand all of that. No reason he should start from day one. Week 10, week 11, hey, Michael Penix, Atlanta turned to him at the end of the season, and he wasn't anything but solid. So let's go with this kid. Let's get him coached up. Let's get him some reps. Yeah, that might happen if the season is over in November and December. So there could be a burst of optimism causing ownership to keep with Daboll and Shane. That may be the way to go about it. Certainly, if I'm Daboll and Shane, I'm starting with Russ. I'm letting the kid marinate. I'm letting the kid watch. I'm letting the kid learn. I'm letting the kid learn from both Russ and Jameis, with all due respect to Tommy Cutlets. I'm letting him do all that because he's not even going to be ready to back up. He's not even going to be ready to back up Russ if Russ falters or gets hurt. Jameis is there for that. And I'll tell you what, if Russ starts to falter and they're 2-4, they'll go to Jameis because who can throw for 400 yards. Who can find, Malik Neighbors. Who can actually win some games in a 4 to 6 week stretch.
That's the thing. I don't know that because at the end of last year, Russ and Jameis, I don't know how many wins they combined for, but it wasn't very much. Like they weren't playing good football.
There was a month where Jameis had his Flacco moment in the Stefanski offense.
It was super fun in the snow game, but didn't they lose the snow? Didn't they lose that game?
I know, but that's why he's not the long term. That's why he's a 2-year guy. That's why he's going to be there.
You make a move, you trade up, you're putting your kind of career on the line for this kid. Just go with the kid day one.
Overreaction. What else?
All right, let's talk about it. After all of this, Rich, I think it's kind of funny. After all the waiting on Thursday and all the waiting on Friday and then finally getting selected on Saturday, Shedeur is going to end up starting the most games at quarterback for the Browns this year.
It's a total overreaction. I don't even know if the kid's going to make the roster because that's the situation he has found himself in. Because he got drafted 144th overall. And 5th-round picks are easily thrown on the waiver wire every August. Every August, this happens all the time. And I got to say this, and I'll say it on the flagship show later on as well. In my 22 years of doing this, I have never seen a draft happen to one player as wild as what we saw with Shedeur Sanders. And that includes Laramie Tunsil having video of a bong mask put on his face. And then having all of
that leaked like
these
an hour before the draft
that have to do with getting free rent
paid
and electricity and all of that being thrown out in the middle of the first round.
Was insane.
Because that story was over by the next day.
Right.
All right. And the fact that I'm including Shedeur Sanders in a draft scenario that had a player have all of these red flags about him flown in real time as he's on the draft board is a testament to just how wild this was. I've never seen anybody go from a top 5 pick to 5th round pick ever. And it's crazy. I still can't figure it out. How he goes 144th overall. And is drafted by a team that had 6 shots to take him and passed up on all of them. And in one of the shots that they had to take him and passed up on him, they took another quarterback in Dillon Gabriel. If I had told you coming into this draft that Shedeur Sanders would be drafted 143 spots after Cam Ward, you would have told me I was out of my mind.
Yeah, it seemed a little unlikely at the time.
And now here we are in a situation where Sanders is drafted by a team that had 6 shots to take him and passed up on one of those shots to take him, the chance to take Travis Hunter too.
Didn't get
him, they pass
honestly.
up on that. And they take him, and he winds up with a team that has 5 quarterbacks, one of whom who won't play because his Achilles isn't going to be ready. Mm-hmm. One of whom they acquired this offseason right off the bat from the defending Super Bowl champs, the guy who took the victory formation in the last Super Bowl, and Kenny Pickett. So this is now a guy who's a first-round selection on his 3rd team, a guy who they're bringing back into the fold after they excommunicated him because the guy whose Achilles isn't ready apparently wasn't comfortable enough to start the season with this guy still there because the guy won comeback player of the year in a meteoric 2-month stretch for Cleveland and Joe Flacco. And Shedeur is going to be in this quarterback room with another rookie, competing with another rookie who was taken higher and with a draft selection that will be far more difficult to place on the waiver wire because of his draft position. And I know that won't matter at the end of the day. You got to make decisions best for the team. I can't believe Shedeur is in this situation. So, yes, for a guy who a lot of people thought needs to prove that he earns something because everything else has been handed to him, Dad won't be there to keep him afloat on a depth chart. Dad won't be there to retire his number. That, yes, this is a situation that is a prove-it moment for him, and I look forward to watching him prove it. But to say he's going to wind up starting the most games for the Browns this year, I mean, he's going to have to beat out a kid who beat him to the Heisman Trophy finalist podium. He's going to have to beat out a veteran who won comeback player of the year in this system 2 years ago. And he's going to have to beat out somebody who's got a massive chip on his shoulder to prove my first-round status was worth it. Overreaction, sir.
Second best odds to be the week 1 starter for Cleveland.
That's nuts. That's positively insane. Because as great as I think or as underrated as I think the league has him, as vastly underrated as I think the league rated him this weekend, he's in a really tough spot. Tough spot. Because Dillon Gabriel is going to be sitting there going, you're not beating me out. And Flacco, I think, is going to be removed from the equation. I think he's just going to be like, you got the roster spot, pal. So
breaking case of Flacco. He's just there.
He's there. He's got the roster spot. He could be the week 1 starter. You know? And it's going to be Pickett versus Dillon Gabriel versus Shedeur for 2 spots. Good luck, because I don't know how many reps he's going to get. I don't know how they're going to split this football up in the minimum spots that they have for this team-wide competition until training camp. And then training camp, after a while, it's going to be what he's going to get. And by the way, Shedeur might look great against some teams' 3s and 4s, unless they're like, screw it. Here's what we're going to do the competition. Each one gets a start. Not you, Flacco. We need to have you. You're ready. You're ready now. You could play football yesterday.
The league has to do the Browns Hard Knocks, right?
They don't. As a matter of fact, they are not required to. I asked this during the draft, as soon as Shedeur got drafted. The Browns run Hard Knocks in 2018, and if you've been on Hard Knocks in any of the last 8 years, you're not compelled to do it. So they're just at the cusp of being compelled to do it. But We'll talk about it. What else you got?
Seems.
What else you got?
Seems like it'd be fun. Let's talk about last year's number 1 overall pick, Rich. A lot of these young quarterbacks got a lot of help by their franchises, the Chicago Bears included. Caleb Williams is going to break the Bears passing and touchdown records in 2025.
That's a tall order, pal. 30 touchdowns and 3,900 yards. I'm very bullish on what the Bears have done for Caleb Williams, from hiring Ben Johnson to hitting the offensive line in free agency and getting some veteran help up front, not just drafting and hoping that it can be developed fast enough, that they also drafted pieces for him. From my guy, Colston Loveland.
Colston Loveland at tight end. Went with Luther Bolden, who fell to the second round.
Yes.
That's an awesome pick. And then added the tackle from Boston College, so more offensive line.
Right. I think they have really supported him. But for him to just explode like this is going to be a very tall order. And then we just got to see how he handles all of it. That's all. I mean, there's going to be a lot put on his plate, and hopefully enough removed off of it so he can comfortably develop. So
thing is,
I'll just say,
Caleb had a really sneaky good year last year. 3,500 yards, 20-6 touchdown interception ratio. So
I got it.
He's close.
I got it. But they were also way behind in some of these, and he was just,
true.
30, 40 attempts. That's not what they want to do. Just look at Goff. Look at Goff's stat lines. That's what Ben Johnson wants out of this thing. That's why everybody thought they were going to. I bet you we're going to find out at some point they were trying hard to trade up for Genty. Hard. And just could not crack that top 10. Just couldn't do it.
Yeah, when the Bears went down, when the Browns went down to 5.
I thought they were going to go down again.
I thought, yeah, exactly. I thought the Bears, that was a good opportunity for them to swap again, get Cleveland to go down and acquire more picks.
Right.
And slide into that 5 spot and take Genty right ahead of the Raiders, but alas, did not happen.
By the way, just real quick on the Browns draft. You take a look at the Browns draft.
Really good draft.
If you just showed that on a piece of paper to a Browns fan today, and they were hermetically sealed for the last 4 days.
Yeah.
And fully unaware
of
how it all played out to get to this. Mm-hmm. Seeing the 2 rookie quarterbacks would be a bit of an eyebrow raiser. But if you didn't see where they were drafted,
if they were
what their draft pick was.
If they were flipped, you'd been like, oh.
If you just saw it was Graham and Schlesinger and Judkins and Fannin Jr. and Gabriel and Dylan Sampson, the running back out of Tennessee, and Shedeur Sanders, you'd go, oh, okay. And, by the way, and a 1 for next year.
Right, and next year's
right
Jacksonville. You'd be like, oh, okay.
Exactly. So,
yeah.
What else you got over there?
For sure. How about this one, Rich? Despite another team that had a really good draft, the Dallas Cowboys. Really good, smart, efficient draft. I do. Despite a really good draft.
All right.
They totally whiffed not taking Matthew Golden.
No, they totally whiffed not taking Tyler Warren. That's who they whiffed on not taking.
Oh, not another wide receiver?
No.
Why?
Because Tyler Warren is potentially a bigger weapon at a position that's easier to exploit than a rookie wideout.
Oh, Jake Ferguson taking some shrapnel.
No, how about him and Jake Ferguson? And they already have a kid from Michigan, too, and Schoonmaker, who I adore. Dude, Tyler Warren.
Yeah, they needed another wide receiver. Matthew Golden was right there.
Sitting there.
The kid from Texas who was on our set told us he wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy, essentially.
I know. I get it.
Oh, interesting. You with the Warren.
Dude, I would take a tight end of Tyler Warren's ability and stick him right there in Dallas and go, all right, you want to make sure CeeDee Lamb doesn't have any get off or anything like that. How does 2 tight ends hit you? Dude, I mean, that one, I understand the sensible pick, and I understand what I'm saying. And you're also, you're bringing a little bit of sizzle. I don't think it's golden that there was the opportunity that they missed. It's Tyler Warren. I think that kid's going to be terrific. And we'll see, man. And again, I know I'm slagging on potentially another Michigan tight end. I love Colston Loveland. He was one of the best Wolverines I've seen in this decade. A part of Team 144. and maybe our system wasn't run the same way as Penn State's, and our, this past year, the quarterback position was a super fun sight for Michigan. And Drew Aller could be the first overall pick in next year's draft.
He could.
But they didn't have much offense of which to speak in Penn State of any chunk offense other than this kid. And everyone knew it was going to him. I'm big on him, and we'll find out if the Bears took the right one too. But the Colts couldn't be happier. I mean, they sat at 14 and had this kid drop to them.
Yeah, I mean,
the number of mock drafts I saw, the Colts select Tyler Warren. And I'm like, when the hell is he going to go down to 14?
Right.
But he did.
And Golden's in a great spot in Green Bay. I just thought, look, Dallas could have used a explosive number 2 receiver to go with CeeDee Lamb. That would have been the pick.
I am not going to sit here and say that. If anything that they should have taken first overall for them, it was Tyler Warren. Game time tickets, you're seeing all of these playoff games being played out, and you're just sitting there going, what an incredible scene that looks like. Susie took all the kids locally here to the Dome to watch L.A. and Denver go at it.
Nice.
They saw
that's
that
awesome.
big finish, and we've been talking about it for 2 days. And game time tickets is exactly the way you can have all of these memories created with your friends and your family, being part of the hyped fans and the intense rivalries, being part of history. And it's so easy to find last-minute tickets and buy these tickets for every kind of event in your area as well, and save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Take the guesswork right now to buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use our code Overreaction. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Visit GameTime.co for restrictions. Again, create an account and redeem our code OVERREACTION. You get $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Second half of our post-draft edition of Overreaction Monday. Have at it, Christopher.
Rich, the Washington Commanders and the Houston Texans have kind of shown the blueprint. They picked second overall in each of the last 2 drafts, and then they immediately made the playoffs.
Yes.
I think 3 of these teams that picked in the top 5 are going to make the playoffs this year.
Okay, so you think the Titans, the Jaguars, the Giants, the Patriots, and Cleveland, 3 of those teams make the playoffs.
3. Every year we have mass turnover. 50% playoff teams get turned over. Why can't New England, who also had an A draft, do what the Commanders just did? Why can't the Titans now with the franchise player in Cam Ward, who we are not talking about, by the way? Cam Ward gets selected, and immediately all the talk is about Shedeur Sanders.
Actually, all the talk was about Travis Hunter because, again,
the trade broke
while Cam Ward was walking to the stage.
So this guy's still not even being talked about.
I heard the NFL Network's competitors did not take Cam Ward's interview from the stage because they were consumed by the Shedeur Sanders conversation and the Travis Hunter trade-up. So that's another reason why nobody's talking about Cam Ward is a large chunk of the viewing audience did not even see him on the stage being interviewed like a first overall pick normally is. So
Jacksonville now has Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas,
it's just
all these great players, new
very
coach.
Tall order, pal. And plus, every single one of them would be new to the playoffs, meaning the usual, half the field gets replaced. Having them replaced by 3 teams in the top 5. That's and man, I don't know how to square the circle as well, because if you're saying is earlier on in this show here that Caleb Williams is going to break records, if Caleb Williams breaks those records, you'd have to think they're making the playoffs with Dennis Allen as their defensive coordinator in Chicago now, pal. I mean, so that's another one. That's 4 top 10 teams. So
every year there's turnover.
I had to peg one team.
You think Steelers might be out? Chargers might be out. There's a couple replacements.
Well, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is coming. So
we're going to talk about that in a second.
If I had to peg one team from the top 5 to make it, it would be Jacksonville. Because I still think, despite how well your team drafted, and Daniel Jeremiah is a guest Tuesday on our flagship, he was singing the Patriots' praises the entire time. From Will Campbell to
fantastic,
right up until Mr. Irrelevant, who, as Daniel pointed out, played only 9 games in his career as a defensive back, played only 9 games in his career, and didn't intercept a pass. So everyone was wondering, okay, if you say so, New England.
Sure.
But he was singing their praises. It's still a long way to go. It's just still such a very long way to go. But I would choose Jacksonville. Don't forget, Jacksonville in the middle of 2 seasons ago was playing on a Monday night for the 1 seed in week 11 or 12.
That's true.
So the talent is there. And I think just the way they're reimagining the entire front office and how Liam Cohen has got a ton of supporters, maybe not the way he wound up in Jacksonville. And then, this kid, Travis Hunter, we have no idea how special he can be. None. I mean, we're all stating it. Maybe people think I'm overstating it, but I can't wait to watch him.
I don't think so. I think he's going to be tremendous.
Right. And so I would choose Jacksonville out of the top 5 if there was one. But you're saying 3? That's an overreaction. What else you got?
All right. Well, this is a team that picked 8th. One of the big winners over the weekend was Bryce Young. I thought Bryce Young had a great night with Ted McMillan going there first to them. And I think the Panthers are going to win the NFC South.
Huh.
We saw them coming on at the end of the year. Obviously, the midseason benching was a good thing for Bryce Young. Got him the reset, right?
So what happens to the Bucs? What happens to the Bucs?
They still have a really good season. They're still a playoff team.
Yeah, they are.
Baker Mayfield's he was doing jumping jacks on draft night with Amir Buka going there, and I think I'm just high on Carolina. I like what they did. They pick up a running back in the draft, Etienne's brother. They pick up some edge rushers.
Now, by the way,
they get Jimmy Horn with the last pick there. They got a lot of weapons now.
Yes.
For Bryce Young to really take another step forward.
Of that, there's no doubt. And
we saw them play really tough down the stretch last year.
But winning the division, boy, you really took your overreaction pills today, man.
It's a wide open division.
No, I got it, and I can't sit here and say that they're not going to win it.
This is a division that consistently is won by a team with 9 wins.
The Bucs have just got guys who've been there and done that, and are lead pipe wielding veterans. I know they're getting older.
Everyone's another year older.
Right. I
Godwin coming back from injury.
Yeah, I know. I hear what you're saying. Bucky Irving, second year, man. Come on, dude. And the Panthers running back room looks an awful lot like the Cleveland quarterback room. Pretty jammed.
Running back room is nice.
Rico Dowdle.
Yeah.
Jonathan Brooks from last year.
Coming back from injury, but yeah.
Now the kid they drafted. So
yeah, Trevor Etienne. So
no, I got it. I got it. They're really talented, and they're getting younger and faster, and they got
every year there's a surprise division winner.
A young coach that definitely was selling stuff that got bought by the end of the year.
Could be the Panthers.
It could be, but I mean the Bucs, dude. The Bucs. Atlanta addressed a lot of their issues in the draft as well.
That's true.
See what Penix can do.
That's true.
And it sure looks like Kirk Cousins is going to be their backup.
It does.
That's one of the things we're going to talk about on the flagship with Albert Breer here. Is you take a look at who the only spot that you could see that would say we are starting you is if Pittsburgh loses out on Rodgers. If Rodgers says, you know what, everything that you've been sensing out of me or whatever vibes I've been giving you to say, just give me some more time, I'll be there. I just can't come. I can't be there. I'm going to retire. That's the only spot I could see right now for Kirk Cousins. Everyone else seemed to have checked the box of getting one to start if they need, or getting one to back up and develop. So don't. I'll call this one an overreaction too.
Am I batting 1,000 here so far?
No, I don't know. Have I disagreed with every one of them so far?
It's close.
Okay.
2 more, Rich, and then let's finish up. Let's talk about the Steelers. Mike Tomlin is playing a very dangerous game, not taking a quarterback before the 6th round and relying on Aaron Rodgers.
I just think they weren't sold. I think they weren't sold. They weren't sold.
So who is starting?
I mean,
week 1 exactly.
They might have been sold on Shuck. They might have, but they didn't have a second rounder to jump the line, and that was for DK Metcalf. And they certainly weren't going to take Jaxson Dart 21st overall. mean, you heard it from Jerry Dulac. I heard it from others in that building. They needed D linemen. And when that kid Derek Harmon was there, and they fell in love with him.
Yep.
And you know the story about Derek Harmon.
Of course.
My goodness gracious.
I know.
That he was with his mom on draft night, or his ailing mother. For years she's been ailing, and she passed away that night.
After he told
her that I got drafted. He got a chance to tell her that. And the Steelers are very happy to have Derek Harmon there, and also are throwing their arms around him as a member of their family right off the bat. It's not the reason why they drafted him, obviously, but they had a need, and they just weren't going to go with Jaxson Dart there. And so the way everything fell, they could have had Shedeur in the third round, right? Or Milrow, and they didn't. So you could say that they were making a mistake by relying on Rodgers, but not taking one before, I don't know. They might have just evaluated everybody, and the guys who were above Will Howard got taken, and the ones that or they valued Will Howard above them, and just not above the guys that they took. I mean, they took Will Howard's teammate before taking Will Howard, and Jack Sawyer, who kind of really fits what they do. I mean, he's a Vrabel comp.
He does remind me of a Steeler, that's for sure.
And Vrabel, everyone thinks, is a Patriot.
Started his career in Pittsburgh.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with the not taking a quarterback before the 6th round part. The relying on Rodgers part, you know, that's a dangerous game. That is a dangerous game. So you're reacting appropriately. So I'll buy all of this just so I'm not rejecting everything out of your mouth.
No, it's fine.
But I'm being a little bit more nuanced to talk about why they didn't take one before the 6th round.
Yeah.
And I just think they didn't value Shedeur Sanders in a way above the guys that they took or for their team or at all. And Will Howard was their guy, and they're happy to have him and develop him. But getting Rodgers now, I would call a must if it weren't for the fact that Kirk Cousins is still raising his hand now in Atlanta. And I would, if Rodgers gives any indication that he's not coming, like even a whiff of it, my first call would be to Terry Fontenot before it gets out. Before it gets out and it sounds like they're desperate. But although I don't know if that matters, I think just a phone call to Terry Fontenot would give Terry an idea that they're desperate.
Yeah.
So
remember that offseason,
that's the dangerous game we're playing right here.
Remember that unfounded rumor that ended up being totally bogus, that they were interested in Trevor Lawrence and they had called. Maybe they should have actually done that.
I don't think that would have been answered with any seriousness at all. You know, any seriousness at all.
Number 20,
since if you recall that rumor popped when they didn't have a general manager yet.
Maybe number 21.
Do you think
for
that
Lawrence,
fellow James Gladstone? You think he looks at?
He might have got it done.
But you think he looks at Trevor Lawrence as a tradable part? Come on now.
Would have been
Come
interesting.
on now. They just signed a $50 million a year contract. He's their guy. And what they've, by the way, the same way that you're like, hey, Caleb got supported, Drake May got supported, Trevor Lawrence got supported big time.
Yeah. After already hitting a home run last year with Brian Thomas.
Let's hire our own offensive mindset coach and hook him up with Trevor Lawrence and get him Travis Hunter to go with Brian Thomas. Give me a break. Holy cow.
Trevor Lawrence out of excuses now. It's time to perform. That's all.
I was saying, what year are we in the out of excuses for Justin Herbert's career? Are we there yet?
Made the playoffs last year.
Okay. Well, Trevor's made the playoffs too before. As a matter of fact, his first career win, his only career win in the playoffs, prevented Justin Herbert from getting his first career win in the playoffs.
I get it. They're kind of the same boat.
What else?
All right, last one. And one of the most unfortunate and kind of sickening stories over the weekend was the prank call situation.
Awful.
With Shedeur, and it came out Tyler Warren was subject to a prank as well.
Can I guess what you're saying?
No, I want to say it.
Stop the phone calls?
Stop the phone calls. And this is a shout out to our friend Kara Henderson Sneed. I saw that she tweeted it out last night. I want to give it a bigger platform now. All the draft calls should be FaceTime. You want to get rid of the prank phone calls? Put a face to it. If you pop up in your FaceTime and you literally see the general manager, the head coach, and the owner, that will stop all of the pranks.
Love it. I didn't see what Kara tweeted out. As you know, I'm off of the X machine.
That's what she said. All these should be FaceTimes.
Kara is truly one of the greatest ideas people I've ever met. I've ever been around, and you know that, Kara.
Like, come on.
Susie will agree to it, too. She's got nothing but brilliant ideas. She's come up with a lot for this show.
Yeah.
I've known her since the mid-'90s. Brilliant. Do it. That's the answer.
That's the answer.
FaceTime.
FaceTime them.
Not on overreaction anymore.
Come on.
Well, you know why the phone calls take place.
Yeah, to see that you're alive.
And by the way,
every
folks,
time you say that, it sounds so absolutely absurd.
By the way, folks, what Chris just said, if it's the first time you've ever heard it, it's true. I asked multiple times of many top-notch, long-time coaches, evaluators, general managers in this league, why do you call prospects before you draft them? Why? And they say to me, it's to make sure they are not dead. It is to make sure they are not dead.
It's so ridiculous.
Or that they have not just fallen down the stairs, not just slipped in the bathroom. I swear to you, it is to make sure that the player that they are drafting in the few minutes before being drafted,
something freak didn't happen,
or overnight, since they were off their visual radar screen, to make sure they are okay enough and healthy enough and alive enough to be drafted. I swear to you.
Proof of life.
So a FaceTime is a proof of life for the team doing the drafting. And for the one being drafted, a FaceTime is proof of
legitimacy.
Who you are.
Yeah. Proof of realness.
Proof of identity.
Yeah. Fix it.
Yeah, I still can't believe
make the change
that happened. It was just the lab, and that's the. I'm glad you hit that in a way, because it was so horrible. It is so terrible. I feel so badly for Shedeur.
Yeah.
I feel so badly for Jeff Ulbrich too. What do you think? You think he wants to be known as somebody who doesn't handle proprietary information with respect?
Right.
You want to think you think he wants his son to be the face of dumbassery?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's just so unfortunate and so awful on every level. And a FaceTime would remove this. I get it. But it's also, I'm glad, as a reminder, as we wrap up this edition of Overreaction Monday before we start doing the flagship show, when I talk about Shedeur's drafting being the wildest of my 22 years of doing the draft, the fact that it included this prank call and the one who delivered the prank call just adds another "you've got to be kidding me" factor to this whole thing. Unbelievable. Thanks for your hard work last week, and the same
Great
thing
stuff,
for the rest
man.
of the Rich Eisen Show crew last week.
Awesome
and
time in Green Bay.
My right eye is twitching like crazy.
A lot of talking.
I mean, that's what 257 draft picks in 3 shows will do you. But the bottom line is, it's awesome that you're with us. The Rich Eisen Show back on the air all week long on the Roku Sports Channel, Infinity Sports Network, SiriusXM, and Audacy. For Chris, I'm Rich. Peace out on Overreaction Monday. Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.